In this video, I'm going to go over the menu bar effects, 3D rotate. Alright, so we have a box that pops up, and we have settings for our X, Y, and Z axis. And then we have a perspective. So I have it turned on auto preview. And if I take the Y slider and move it, it goes backward and forward. Usually the X goes left to right and the Y goes up and down. This one goes actually left to right. And this one goes all the way around. Okay, so 360 degrees. And then we have the perspective. So let me go ahead and grab my Y and turn this up a little bit. And then you can see better what perspective is going to do. Woo! Okay. So that is the 3D rotate to effects, barrel distortion. So I have this set at 10. The higher I set it, the more it's going to bring the sides in. Okay. I can auto preview or manually update the preview. And for text, if I go to effects, barrel distortion, and I raise that up, you can see that it's shrinking the top and shrinking the bottom, bringing them closer together. Okay. So that is how the barrel distortion works. And then we have bridge warp, and these are some effects that you can get from the bridge warp. So let me go ahead and come down here to my text and open effects bridge warp, and we're going to have this box here. So you have the straight warp, which is going to make the peak, the sharp peak, all right, on the top. And you can also do it negative, all right. So let me go ahead and change this back to 0. And then you have the bottom offset, which makes it a peak upward or downward, all right. Change this back to 0. And then we have our scale width or scale height. So actually, let me put this back here. All right, scale width, we can make it wider, or we can make it taller. All right, your sync offsets. So let me go ahead and change this back to 0. And I will sync the offsets. So if I go up here, you can see it also took the bottom up 120 to 120. If I go up to 160, all right, it syncs those two. All right, so let me go ahead and turn this back to 0 and this one back to 0. Okay. And that's how it works. You know, you can not do the straight warp and you get a rounded effect. Okay. On the bottom and on the top, you can do positive or negative. All right. And you can scale the width for that as well. But, you know, some strange things might happen. Like so. So I'll go ahead and just cancel this out. So that's how the bridge warp works. And then we come to bulge. So bulge kind of does similar to the bridge warp. You also have separately, together, or opposite. Top offset, bottom offset, top curve, bottom curve, left, right. You can do separately or together or opposite. left offset, left curve, right curve, and I'm not going to go through every single one of these. I suggest you just put some rectangles on your workspace and play around with it. So first I'm going to do the together, and I'm going to up that and bring it back down, and then I'll do the opposite. We're just going to do this. All right, and then I can do the left right together. We're just going to move it this way and make the curve this way. So there's a lot of different things. Let me cancel out of that to get back to my rectangle. A lot of different things that you can do with Bulge. You just, you know, like I said, you just need to play around with them. You can do these separately. You can have the bottom curve. Oops, wrong one. Go down or up. Okay. Let me cancel out of that, and I'll select this text here. And I'll go to Effects, Bulge. And I will do them separately. I'll raise the top up, and I'll raise the bottom offset down. Actually, let me put that back up there. And then again, you have your left, your right together, opposite. So yeah, either text or rectangle. Just go ahead and put some on your mat and play around with the Bulge effect and see what you come up with. So the next effect we have is called Canned, and it is, well, let me type something out here first. Effects, you know, you gotta select it. Told you I do it all the time. All right. So what this does essentially is wraps around a cylinder. Okay. So here I have auto preview, which I check if I have the option. And I can up this. It's going to go up here. This is the angle. Or I can bring it back down. I'll just go to 0 and then bring it down from 0. Okay. And then you have your diameter, which you can make it larger or smaller. Okay, you can make it wrap around. You can also make it wrap around to the point where it overlaps, and that's no good. Alright, so that's what Canned does. So then we come to Drop Shadow. I'll go ahead and select this, come up to Effects, Drop Shadow. Alright, so obviously you can see that I have a shadow behind my letters. I do want to show you one thing, that it's not, they're not permanently together, alright, but obviously you're going to separate them if you're going to cut them like this, because if you don't, that's what's going to happen. Alright, with it selected, I'll go to Effects, Drop Shadow. And you have this box here. You can change your X and Y offset and inset. You can change your color. I'll change this actually to a darker gray. And you can remove the foreground, and auto preview I like to have checked. Let me go ahead and, since I've been playing around with this, put in a 0.50, enter here. No, that's 500. Oops. It's 0.05, enter. Okay. And then on the y-axis, I will put 0.02, enter. Okay. And then on the inset, I will put 0.02 and hit enter. Now you can see that that gave me a white outline here. All right, so let me go ahead and click OK on that. And when I remove this, I get this kind of effect. So, I mean, you know, you could give it a little bit more of a shadow. And let me go back. Remove the inset. That looks a little better. So, you know, a lot of these effects is going to just come down to playing around with your settings and see what you like best, right? Because I sit here all day going through all these settings and different effects that I could get. All right, so let me go back. And then, let's see, knockout is next. So everybody knows about the knockout feature, or I hope you do anyway. So here I just knocked out the unicorn and the word STARCRAFT. I gave it an offset right in the knockout panel. I'll show you here. So here I just have a paw and the word mom. I've placed it kind of where I like it. And don't forget, you can also use your, in your position and size, the second icon down on the right, you can use your horizontal and vertical if you select both. So you get it exactly in the middle, vertically and horizontally. I think I'm actually going to make this just a tad bit bigger. I don't want it to be on the outside of the O on the top or the bottom. I want it to be on the inside. So then I can just select both and go to Effects, Knockout. And I get this box here. Now the gap is for the offset. So I'm going to go ahead and change this to 0.02 and preview that. And I think I actually want that a little bit bigger. So I'm going to try 0.03 and preview that. That's a little bit bigger. But see, I'm running into the outside of the letter here. So what's going to happen is when I cut this and weed it, this is going to be a separate little piece. So let me go ahead and cancel this, and I'm going to select this and make it just a tad bit smaller. So I have room for my offset. Okay, now I'll select both, go to Effects, Knockout, and then I will change this to 0.03 and preview that. And that looks okay. You know, it could even be 4, maybe. See what that looks like. Yeah, I kind of like that better. So then I'll click OK. And if I zoom out here, you'll see that I have 2 separate objects that are going to cut, and you can layer them together. And knockout in Create is so much easier than slicing in Design Space and having to remove all those parts and hoping you're removing the right ones, and you know. So next on the effects menu will be lattice.